Our first comedian actually won this contest last year. He's performed around the globe for our troops and was the winner of the 2016 Clean Comedy Challenge in Pasadena, California. And he's been seen on Family Feud, and he's from right here in North Texas. Give it up for Todd Justice!
Thanks, guys. Thank you very much. Good to see you. Nice to be here. And welcome to the redneck portion of this show. 1 year. I represented the neighborhood for 1 year as your comedy king. Now it's time for me to pass my tiara on to the next Yahoo. I'd like to thank y'all for actually coming out tonight, both of you. I appreciate it. Yeah. I was at home on the computer today. Did you know in 1941 Henry Ford built a vehicle that ran entirely on soybeans? Y'all know that? It ran entirely on soybeans, and they said it ran well, but it kept backfiring. They asked him how he came up with it, and he said, I was at dinner with my wife, and the ideas just kept hitting me one after the other. This is my outgoing set right here. How about that? I have flown all over the world, folks. Every time I go, I'm from Texas. I'm from Fort Worth originally, grew up here. Thank you, both of you. Every time you go somewhere, any other state, any other country, it doesn't matter. It's the first question you get. If you tell them you're from Texas, where's your cowboy hat? Can't wear a cowboy hat with a bald head. I look like a mannequin. I was in Amsterdam one time sitting at a table from people all over the world, and they were talking about me being from Texas, and the guy sitting next to me turns to me and he goes, well, I don't know what his accent was. You ride horses to work and school and back, huh? Every day. Why take the car when the horse is ready? I said, no, dude, I rode a horse one time, stayed on 7 minutes, and the whole table started laughing and pointing at me. Like they had one up on the American, and then the same guy, did you get bucked off? I said, no, I ran out of quarters. I don't know what's wrong with people, man. I teach a comedy defensive driving class, or as I like to call it, my dating pool. And I say that for a reason. You never know when someone's going to show up, and God's going to put people in your path, right? Footprints in the sand, that's the website. So, and I see people every day, you just look at them and you wonder, what is wrong? What is wrong? Millennials? Generation Z? I asked one day in my defensive driving class, what would you yield to? And the kid said an airplane. I said, when on God's earth would you yield to an air? Well, if you have to make an emergency landing on the highway. Have you ever looked at someone and thought, how do you not fall down? 3 weeks ago, we were talking about motorcycles. There was another kid over to my left. I said, do you have to wear a helmet? And the kid goes, in the car? Yeah, in the car. You should wear a helmet at all times. There's something wrong with people, y'all. Something wrong with people. I ain't no better. No better at all. My mother called me the other day. My mother took a trip, never left the farm. She's nutty as a fruitcake, and I love her because I get a lot of material out of this lady. A lot of material. They have a motor home. You know, he owns a couple of computer companies, and they have a, lake house and whatever else, and a house across from UTD, and they have a big motor home. They travel a lot. They used to race lawnmowers across the country. They called him Sir Lancelot, and they called her Mo Marion. Nuts, right? Nuts. They stopped in a convenience store one time. You ever been at a convenience store and seen one of those little pamphlets that shows who's wanted and who's been arrested? Little crime reports. Y'all know what I'm talking about? They got what they needed in the convenience store. They got back in the motorhome, drove down the road. She pulls one out and starts reading it, and her husband goes, I didn't know you bought one of those. She said, I didn't. They were free. She turned it over. It was $1.79. My mother stole the crime report from the convenience store. Unbelievable. And it makes sense, because my mother's tighter than a drum. Always been tight with her money. Always. I went over to their house for Thanksgiving. I walk in, their big table with the red cloth and the plateware and the silverware, empty glass jug and rolls, and you could smell the food cooking. And I said, Mom, this looks great. And all I heard from the kitchen was, thank you, Toddy-O. I said, hey, by the way, what is this empty glass jug for? She said, in case anybody wants to chip in. She put a tip jar on the Thanksgiving dinner table. A tip jar. Nuts. Just nuts. I was just thinking about my ex-girlfriend the other day. He was nuts. 5'10", 135 pounds. This girl was as bipolar as they come, y'all. I'm telling you. I've never, and there's nothing funny about the ailment, but dealing with that when you've never done it before, that's what I call the beast. You're like, whoa. I remember the first date we ever had. Came over and I have sleep apnea, right? Came over and we were watching, I put in a chick flick, and we're watching TV, and on that night I found out that apparently when it comes to genders, sleep apnea does not discriminate. We're in the middle of this tear jerker, and all of a sudden I heard, and I said, oh God, that wasn't me. And I looked down and she's out. And the snoring's not bad enough, but about every 6 minutes you get that. I said, honey, you gotta wake up, baby. Something just flew off the counter. You wanna borrow my CPAP? I remember the first time I ever saw the beast. I had to leave for a show. It was a Friday night. I turned to her and I said, I didn't know that she was furious that she could not find the stand for her 55-inch television. Now, you and I, we get mad, 10, 15 minutes, I'm out. I'm fine. Bipolar, 3 days, easy. I had no idea she had been simmering like a stew. And I turned and I said, honey, I've got to leave. Are you coming with me? And out of nowhere, she goes, I'm not going anywhere. I said, what happened to your voice? What do you care? You don't care about me. You don't care about anything but yourself. I said, you're wrong. I do care about you, honey. I have to. We've only been dating for a few months. Nobody's going to believe she was fine when I left. You love crime marathons on Netflix and whatever. I was wondering why everyone was looking there. I didn't know there was a screen. I was like, man, these people are rude. I'm over here. How was the show? They just watched TV the entire night. Rude. I went to the VA doctor. Doctor said, you have to lose 60 pounds. I said, really? 60 pounds? Yep. For your height, you're obese. I said, your wife's cheating on you. Rude. I don't pay $6 a visit to get insulted. Can't sleep. Wake up, it's like the cat slept in my mouth. You have sleep apnea. I said, well, I kind of figured that. Is that a problem? You could die in your sleep. I can't think of a better way to go, can you? I'd rather die in my sleep than die on stage in Irving, Texas, that's for sure. He said, well, we do have a possible solution. I said, what? He goes, we can give you a CPAP machine. Anybody else have a CPAP? Can y'all hear me? It's staring at me like a math problem. What is it? It's a television. So, we give you a CPAP, and he pulls it out. I'd never seen one before. He pulls it out, and he goes, what do you think? I go, that'll impress a first date. Hello, Clarice. Really? Really? Oh. So, as I leave you and pass on the legacy. The funniest comic. I was so excited to win last year and get that little, be able to go home and take down the top salesman at Walmart plaque and put up funniest comic in Irving. Yes, that's right. That's right, and that is the appropriate response. You know, I became a comic to keep myself out of jail. And I keep people out of jail. I try, and I was reading the other day. I don't know if y'all know this. Next time you hear somebody whine or complain about anything, okay, about anything in this environment right now that we're in, next time you hear somebody, remember this. Did y'all know, it's so bad here, did y'all know in Malaysia, if you get a DWI, your spouse goes to jail with you? How's that for justice? That's right, they drove you to drink. By God, they can go along for the ride. There's some weird laws. Even in this country. In Alabama, you cannot wear a false mustache in church if it causes laughter. What other reason would you wear a false mustache? You in the witness protection program? In Kentucky, you cannot remarry the same man 4 times. I had a student in my class go, even if you're a guy? Well, yeah, even if you're a guy. Why would you do that? In Seattle, you cannot carry a concealed weapon longer than 6 foot. How do you hide a 6-foot weapon? You're just walking down the street, I'll be right back. Just killing them. In Connecticut, it is illegal to whistle underwater. Love to see that cop show it. We had a report of a water whistler. I have to ask you to step out of the tub. In Oklahoma, it's illegal to take a bite out of another man's hamburger. As it should be. That is disgusting. Women are not supposed to do your own hair without a permit. Dogs are not supposed to congregate in the front yard without a permit. Then it gets weird. You cannot put a hypnotized person in a display case. What the heck is wrong with people in Oklahoma? You cannot shoot a whale from an overpass. In landlocked Oklahoma, cannot shoot a whale from a... Apparently you have to wait till it moves out into the open ocean before you pop it. And in Texas, you cannot ride a horse downtown after sunset in Texarkana without lights on the tail. Tail lights. But my all-time favorite, y'all, you cannot shoot a buffalo out of the second story of a hotel in Texas. You know, I had another student in my class ask me one day, what's a buffalo doing in the second story of a hotel in Texas? Oh my God, they're idiots. Thank you, folks. My name is Todd Justice. Thank you very much. Good night.